The faint scent of old wood and lemon cleaner hung in the air of the Carter family's weathered two-story home in a quiet small town in Ohio, where Ryan sat at the creaky dining table, the late afternoon sun filtering through faded lace curtains, casting dappled shadows across the chipped oak surface, his gray eyes scanning a stack of papers his dad, Tom, had handed him to scan. The hum of a scanner in the background a steady rhythm to his thoughts. Ryan's broad shoulders tense after a long day of remote work as a software engineer, his laptop still open on the table, emails from clients unanswered, his gray eyes heavy with the weight of responsibility he'd carried for years, the mortgage payments, grocery runs, even the leaking roof he'd paid to fix last spring, all on his dime. His younger brother Caleb doing nothing, absolutely nothing to help. Caleb's days spent sprawled on the couch playing video games or scrolling on his phone, waiting for life to hand him everything, while Ryan, the eldest, kept the family afloat. His gray eyes softening as he remembered his mom, Linda, once saying, "You're our rock, Ryan. We'd be lost without you." Her words a bittersweet echo in his mind. But now, as he flipped through the papers, that warmth vanished, his gray eyes freezing on a folder labeled Estate Plan and Last Will. The title a cold slap, Ryan's gray eyes narrowing with curiosity. He wasn't one to snoop, but after years of pouring his savings into this house, after missing vacations, after working overtime to cover their bills, he felt he deserved to know what his parents had planned for the future. His gray eyes trembling as he opened the folder, the words on the page hitting him like a freight train. Everything, the house, their savings, the small plot of land by the lake, left to Caleb. Not a single mention of Ryan except a hollow line, "We love both our sons equally." The irony a bitter taste in his mouth, his gray eyes clouding with betrayal as he sat back, the chair creaking under his weight, his hands shaking with a mix of anger and disbelief. He'd been their financial lifeline, the one who made sure the lights stayed on, the one who drove to the store at midnight when they ran out of milk, while Caleb, the golden child, had never lifted a finger, his gray eyes stinging with memories of his childhood, staying up late to help Linda with the dishes while Caleb played, fixing the fence with Tom while Caleb slept in, all those moments of sacrifice now reduced to a footnote in their will, his gray eyes darkening as he heard Tom's footsteps approaching. "Hey, Ryan! What's taking so long?" His dad's voice gruff, Ryan's gray eyes flashing as he held up the will, his voice unnervingly calm. "So this is how it is. Everything to Caleb after all I've done." Tom's face paled for a moment, but then he sighed as if Ryan were overreacting. "It's not what you think," his dad muttered, Ryan's gray eyes cutting through him. "Really? Because it looks pretty damn clear to me I've been paying your mortgage, fixing this house, while Caleb does nothing, and you still chose him." His voice rising, the betrayal a raw wound. Linda appeared in the doorway, her apron dusted with flour from baking, her brown eyes guilty as she saw the will in Ryan's hands. "Ryan, honey, you don't need the inheritance." Her voice soft, manipulative. "You're independent. You have a good job. Caleb struggles. We just want to make sure he's taken care of." Her words a knife twisting deeper. Ryan's gray eyes trembling with fury. "So I'm just your ATM, someone to use while you pamper Caleb?" His voice a low growl, the room falling silent. Tom and Linda exchanging glances. No apology, no remorse, just a quiet acceptance of their choice. Ryan's gray eyes glistening with hurt as he stood, slamming the will on the table. "Glad to know where I stand." His voice steady but cold, he turned and walked out, the screen door slamming behind him, his gray eyes reflecting the fading sunlight as he got into his car, the weight of their betrayal a storm in his chest, wondering if they had ever seen him as a son, wondering if all his sacrifices had been for nothing, wondering how he'd face the days ahead with this wound that wouldn't stop bleeding. The faint hum of a ceiling fan stirred the still air in Ryan's small apartment in downtown Ohio, the evening light filtering through a narrow window, casting a soft orange glow across the hardwood floor where Ryan sat on a second-hand couch, his gray eyes staring at his phone, the screen dark but heavy with the weight of his decision, his laptop on the coffee table still open to his banking app, the automatic payments for his parents' mortgage, utilities, and grocery budget, payments he'd set up years ago to keep their house running, now paused, each cancellation a quiet act of defiance, his gray eyes steady with a resolve he hadn't felt in years, the memory of his parents' betrayal still raw. Linda's words, "You don't need the inheritance," echoing, like a cruel taunt in his mind, his gray eyes narrowing as he thought of Caleb, sprawled on the couch while Ryan worked overtime. Caleb's entitled smirk a constant reminder of the unfairness. The will leaving everything to him, while Ryan got nothing. His gray eyes clouding, with a mix of anger and relief as he leaned back, the couch creaking under his weight. For the first time in years, he wasn't their ATM. He wasn't their safety net. He was free. Or at least, he thought he was. His gray eyes drifting to a framed photo on the shelf, a faded picture of him and Caleb as kids, fishing by the lake with Tom, a happier time before favoritism tore them apart, the nostalgia. A sharp pang in his chest, but that pang quickly turned to resolve, his gray eyes hardening as he remembered the will, the betrayal too deep to ignore. 2 weeks passed in silence, no calls, no texts, just the quiet of his new life. His gray eyes softening as he adjusted to the freedom, cooking meals for himself, taking walks by the river, focusing on his software projects without the constant drain of his parents' needs. But that silence shattered one afternoon, his phone buzzing on the kitchen counter, his gray eyes narrowing as he saw Tom's name on the screen. A single message. "Property taxes are due." No greeting, no apology, just a cold demand. Ryan's gray eyes glinting with a bitter smirk as he typed back, "I'm sure Caleb can handle it, since the house is his." His tone sharp, unyielding, his gray eyes steady as he hit send. The flood of messages that followed didn't surprise him. Linda's texts piling up. "Ryan, please don't be like this. We need to talk." Her tone manipulative, desperate. His gray eyes darkening as he ignored them. Her calls ringing unanswered. Caleb's message arriving next. "Dude, why are you being such a drama queen? It's not a big deal. Just help them out." The entitlement a slap in the face. Ryan's gray eyes flashing with fury as he replied, "No. I think you've got it covered since you're the favorite." His words a line in the sand. The silence that followed heavy but empowering, his gray eyes reflecting the dim kitchen light as he stood by the counter, a cup of coffee growing cold in his hand, the weight of their demands pressing against him, but he wouldn't budge, his gray eyes steady as he thought of the years he'd sacrificed, the late nights working to pay their bills, the weekends spent fixing their house while Caleb did nothing. The betrayal in the will. A wound that fueled his resolve, Linda's next text. A guilt trip. "We're your parents. Family takes care of each other." Her words a twisted attempt to pull him back, Ryan's gray eyes narrowing as he typed back, "You made your choice. Now live with it." His voice echoing in his mind, firm and final, his gray eyes glistening with a mix of anger and liberation. As he set the phone down, the quiet of his apartment a stark contrast to the chaos of his parents' house, the freedom to say no, a new sensation, his gray eyes drifting to the window, the lights of the small town twinkling in the distance, a reminder of the life he was building for himself. A life where he wasn't just a paycheck, a life where he could finally breathe, but deep down, his gray eyes clouding with unease, he knew this wasn't the end. He knew his parents wouldn't let go so easily. He knew the storm was far from over, wondering how far they'd go to pull him back into their web, wondering if he'd have the strength to keep saying no, wondering if he'd ever truly be free of their grip. The soft clatter of a coffee shop in downtown Ohio filled the air with a gentle buzz, where Ryan sat at a corner table, the late morning sun streaming through a large window, casting a warm glow over his laptop screen, his gray eyes focused on a coding project for a client, the steady rhythm of his fingers on the keyboard, a comforting distraction, his small apartment just a few blocks away, a sanctuary he'd carved out since walking away from his parents' demands, his gray eyes steady with the quiet satisfaction of his new life. No more late-night calls about a broken pipe, No more grocery runs for a house he'd never inherit. Just the freedom to focus on himself, his gray eyes softening as he sipped his black coffee, the bitter taste grounding him, but that peace shattered with a sharp buzz from his phone, his gray eyes narrowing as he saw a bank transfer request from Linda, $3,500. No message, no explanation, just a cold demand, the exact amount for their overdue mortgage. His gray eyes darkening with disbelief, the audacity of it all hitting him like a punch. After everything, after the will, after he'd walked away, they still saw him as their personal ATM, his gray eyes flashing with a mix of anger and exhaustion as he declined the request without hesitation, the screen blinking red as the transaction failed, his gray eyes steady as he set the phone down, but it buzzed again almost instantly. Linda's name on the screen. A text, "Ryan, I know you saw the request. Why did you decline it?" Her tone accusatory, manipulative, Ryan's gray eyes glinting with a cold resolve as he typed back, "Because it's not my responsibility, try Caleb." His words sharp, final, his gray eyes steady as he hit send. The calls that followed were relentless, Linda's name lighting up the screen, each ring a grating reminder of their entitlement, his gray eyes darkening as he declined each one. Another text arriving, "We're going to lose the house if you don't help us." Linda's words a desperate plea. Ryan's gray eyes narrowing as he replied, "Maybe you should have thought about that." Before deciding I didn't matter. His tone unyielding, the memory of the will a raw wound fueling his resolve, his gray eyes clouding with a bitter satisfaction as he turned the phone face down, the coffee shop's chatter fading into the background. But the storm wasn't over. Tom's message arrived next. "You're really going to let your parents become homeless?" His words a blatant manipulation. Ryan's gray eyes flashing with a sharp laugh, the absurdity of it almost comical. They weren't broke, they had savings, they just didn't want to touch them, not when they'd grown so used to Ryan footing. The bill, his gray eyes steady as he ignored the message, but Caleb's text came soon after. "Dude, just send them the money. You're making this a bigger deal than it is." The entitlement dripping from every word, Ryan's gray eyes darkening, with fury as he typed back, "You mean the money you're inheriting? Why don't you send it?" His voice echoing in his mind, firm and unapologetic. Caleb's reply quick, "You know I don't have that kind of cash right now." The hypocrisy a bitter pill, Ryan's gray eyes narrowing as he shot back, "Guess you better figure it out. Then you're the one they chose." His words a final stand, his gray eyes glistening with a mix of anger and triumph as he silenced his phone, the coffee shop's warmth a stark contrast to the coldness of his family's demands, his gray eyes drifting to the window, the small town bustling with life outside, a reminder of the normalcy he craved, a normalcy they kept trying to rip away. His gray eyes steady as he thought of the years he'd given them, the missed opportunities, the savings he'd drained to keep their house afloat. All for nothing. The will a constant reminder of their betrayal. His gray eyes clouding with unease as he wondered how far they'd go. The memory of Linda's voice. "Family takes care of each other." A twisted echo in his mind, but he wasn't falling for it. Not this time. His gray eyes hardening with resolve. He'd built a life without their chaos. A life where he wasn't just a wallet. A life where he could finally breathe. But deep down, his gray eyes reflecting the sunlight, he knew they wouldn't stop. He knew the pressure would only grow. He knew the battle for his freedom was far from over. Wondering what they'd try next. Wondering if he'd ever truly escape their grasp. Wondering if peace would ever be his. The sharp ring of a desk phone echoed through the small office space Ryan had rented for his freelance software projects. The midday sun filtering through a frosted glass window, casting a muted glow across the cluttered desk, where Ryan sat, his gray eyes focused on a line of code on his monitor, the steady hum of his computer a grounding rhythm, his small apartment just a block away a quiet retreat he'd come to cherish, his gray eyes steady with the focus of a man rebuilding his life, the weight of his parents' betrayal still a dull ache, but one he'd learned to manage. His gray eyes softening as he thought of the freedom he'd gained since cutting their financial support, No more late-night demands, no more guilt trips. Just the space to breathe, to live for himself. But that peace shattered with a call from the building's front desk, his gray eyes narrowing as the receptionist's voice came through. "Hey, Ryan, your parents are here," her tone hesitant. "They're saying it's an emergency, and you won't answer their calls." Ryan's gray eyes darkening with disbelief, the audacity of Tom and Linda hitting him like a wave. They'd shown up unannounced, after weeks of demands, after the will, after he'd made it clear he was done, his gray eyes flashing with a mix of fury and exhaustion as he pinched the bridge of his nose. "Please don't let them up." "I'm not expecting them," his voice firm, the receptionist's reply awkward. "They're being kind of pushy," Ryan's gray eyes hardening. "I don't care, they can leave," his tone unyielding as he hung up. But his phone buzzed immediately. Linda's text lighting up the screen. "We're downstairs. Open the door. No question. Just a demand." Ryan's gray eyes glinting with a cold resolve as another text followed. "We're not leaving until you talk to us." The manipulation a familiar tactic, his gray eyes darkening as he stood, grabbing his keys, his blood boiling with a fury he couldn't contain. He wasn't scared. He was done, his gray eyes steady as he stormed downstairs, the small lobby of the building buzzing with tension as he pushed through the glass doors. There they were, Tom, Linda, and Caleb, standing in a tight formation, a family intervention ready to strike, Linda with her arms crossed, her brown eyes locked in a disappointed glare. Tom rigid, hands in his pockets, his face a mix of frustration and entitlement, Caleb looking bored, as if this were a minor inconvenience, Ryan's gray eyes cutting through them as he leaned against the doorframe. "You need to leave," his voice calm, controlled, but sharp, Linda blinking as if she couldn't process his words. "Excuse me?" Her tone theatrical, Ryan's gray eyes unwavering. "You heard me? You don't get to show up at my place demanding money. That's insane." His words a line in the sand. Tom scoffing, "Are you seriously going to let us lose the house? Over a petty grudge?" His accusation a twisted version of the truth. Ryan's gray eyes flashing with a frigid laugh. "A petty grudge? You mean the one where I was good enough to pay your bills, but not worthy of your will?" His voice rising, Linda clutching her chest as if struck. "Ryan, that's not fair. We did what was best for our family." Her words a hollow defense. Ryan's gray eyes narrowing. "Best for Caleb. You mean, just say it." His tone unyielding. The silence that followed heavy. Caleb finally speaking. "Look, man, I don't want to get involved in this. I didn't ask for anything." His voice a weak attempt at neutrality, Ryan's gray eyes turning to him, a fire igniting. "No. You. Just sit back and take everything. You've had years to get a job, to contribute. But you didn't." His voice a low growl. "You want to inherit the house. Start acting like a homeowner. You want to be the golden child. Start paying their bills. I'm done being your bank." Caleb's face flushing red, his gaze dropping to the sidewalk. Linda stepping in, her voice sharp. "Ryan, he's your brother." Her guilt trip falling flat. Ryan's gray eyes steady. "And I've been there for him longer than you have." His words a final blow, Tom's face darkening. "You're being selfish." The word a trigger. Ryan's gray eyes flashing, with a bitter laugh. "Selfish? That's rich coming from you? You decided Caleb deserved everything while I got nothing, and now you want me to fix your mess?" His voice a storm, Linda's tone sharpening. "We thought you'd be mature about this." Ryan's gray eyes cutting through her. "Mature? You mean I should just accept being betrayed and keep paying your bills?" His words unapologetic. Tom stepping closer, trying to loom over him. "We raised you. We gave you everything. The least you can do is help us now." His voice a low threat, Ryan's gray eyes meeting his, unflinching. "I've helped for years. You repaid me by cutting me out. I was never your son, just your paycheck." His voice steady, the silence that followed oppressive, his gray eyes glistening with a mix of fury and liberation as he turned, walking back inside, the door closing behind him with a final thud, his gray eyes reflecting the dim lobby light, a weight lifting from his chest. He'd faced them. He'd stood his ground. He was free, at least for now. But deep down, his gray eyes clouding with unease. He knew they'd find another way to strike, wondering what their next move would be, wondering if he'd ever truly be rid of their toxicity, wondering if this battle would ever end. The soft glow of a laptop screen illuminated Ryan's small apartment in downtown Ohio, the late evening air cool against the open window, carrying the distant hum of the small town winding down for the night, where Ryan sat on his second-hand couch, his gray eyes staring at a Facebook notification, the blue light casting shadows across his tired face, his phone on the coffee table buzzing with messages he'd ignored since blocking his parents and Caleb, his gray eyes steady with the resolve he'd fought for. The freedom he'd claimed after years of being their financial crutch. No more demands, no more guilt trips, just the quiet of his own life, his gray eyes softening as he thought of the peace he'd built, the coding projects he'd taken on, the walks by the river that reminded him of who he was, but that peace was shattered by a post from Linda, her words a public attack. "I didn't raise my son to be so selfish. True family helps no matter what." The comments below a flood of judgment, friends and distant relatives calling Ryan a disappointment, his gray eyes darkening with disbelief, the betrayal cutting deeper than the will ever had. Tom's post followed. "So-called family members shouldn't abandon you when you need them most. We gave our children everything, and this is how they repay us," tagging Ryan with a passive-aggressive, "I hope you're happy." Caleb's post, the final blow. "Some people think family is about money. They don't understand love and sacrifice. I'd do anything for my parents." The hypocrisy, a bitter sting, Ryan's gray eyes flashing with a fury he couldn't contain. They'd flipped the script, painted him as the villain, the selfish son who'd abandoned his sacrificial parents, his gray eyes clouding with a mix of anger and hurt as he sat back, the couch creaking under his weight, the memory of years spent paying their bills, fixing their house, sacrificing his savings while Caleb did nothing, now twisted into a narrative where he was the bad guy, his gray eyes narrowing as he decided he wouldn't stay silent. He wouldn't let their lies define him. His gray eyes steady as he opened a new post on his private Facebook, his fingers typing with a fierce determination. "I've been silent for too long. My family has been spreading lies about me online, calling me selfish for not helping in their time of need. But here's the truth." His words raw, unapologetic. "I've supported them for years, paying their mortgage, their groceries, their taxes, while they favored Caleb, giving him everything, the house, the money, the love. I was just the one they relied on when things got tough, not the one they wanted around." His gray eyes glistening with a mix of pain and liberation as he continued, "When I found out, they left everything to Caleb in their will. I saw how one-sided our relationship was. I was never their son, just their wallet. I'm done being their doormat. Caleb's had years to step up, to contribute, but he hasn't. Now it's time for him to stand on his own. I've given enough." His gray eyes steady as he hit post, the weight of the truth lifting from his chest, the reactions swift, cousins and friends messaging support, apologizing for believing the lies, his gray eyes softening with relief, the validation a balm to his wounds. But the backlash was immediate. Caleb texting, "You're a traitor. You had to air our business like that." Tom calling, his voice a furious shout, "You've ruined everything, Ryan. You'll regret this." His gray eyes unwavering as he blocked them all, the silence that followed a powerful release, his gray eyes reflecting the laptop's glow as he leaned back, the small town outside his window quiet, a symbol of the life he was building, a life where he wasn't just a paycheck, a life where he could finally be himself, his gray eyes glistening with a quiet pride as he thought of the years he'd given, the betrayal he'd survived, the freedom he'd earned. He didn't regret a single step, not the confrontation, not the post, not the choice to walk away, his gray eyes steady as he closed the laptop, the darkness of the room a comforting embrace. He was free, truly free, from their toxic grasp, ready to live for himself, ready to surround himself with people who valued him for who he was, not what he could give. His gray eyes reflecting the moonlight through the window. A new chapter beginning, one where he'd never look back, one where he'd finally found peace, one where he was enough, just as he was.